I still like the film. It never goes away, and I'm not tired of it.
Oh, I decorate my house from September through December with all my nightmare stuff, and it drives people crazy because you walk in my rooms and everything, everybody sees Nightmare Before Christmas. So, for Coraline, look, we'll have to do the dramatic effect here. Real 3D. Now, this isn't the 3D that we knew from the 50s. This is a completely different process. Did you have to think differently creatively, when you were making Coraline with this process, or did it free you up?
Using 3D for Coraline, in one sense, it sort of captures what we do, stop motion, better than any other technology. Stop motion is real stuff. Shooting in 3D with a real D process that a guy named Lenny Lipton developed shows that off. But as far as creative, yeah, we had to think differently. We actually constructed sets and spaces to take advantage of what the 3D could do, and then used it to enhance the story of this other fantastic world that Coraline is sort of drawn into. We wanted to do the same thing with the audience. When she goes through that little door into the other world, we were trying to pull you right into the world with her.
And this is really a lost art, stop motion animation. And it took 18 months of production and 2 years of pre-production?
It took 20 months of production, 20 months of shooting at the peak with 30 animators and almost 50 miniature sets. Yeah, it takes a little time.
And I would think the most difficult sequence in the film was the mice, doing the sequence in the circus.
It was one of 20 of the most difficult scenes.
61 carefully choreographed circus mice.
Yeah, but they're great. We went back for inspiration to a guy named George Pal and his Puppet Tunes, who first came up with the idea of sort of replacement animation, that each mouse would have 5 or 6 replacements of them in a different pose, and they sort of could cycle over and over and give this sense of living cartoon.
So when you were casting for this film, were there specific actors that came to mind that you went after, or did you do an audition process?
I met Dakota very early in the process, and she was fantastic at the meeting, and I felt very lucky to have her on board. And then it was a case of sort of building the voices around her, starting with Terry Hatcher. Terry was a process of elimination, of listening to virtually everybody that could be the mother, and what sounded right with Dakota. Where was there some tension, some connection? And then finally, Terry was one of the sort of 3 finalists, and then I met with her, and that fit. And once I had those 2 in place, it was catch as catch can. I saw John Hodgman on The Daily Show. Neil Gaiman was friends with Don French of French and Saunders, and so it was a variety of means to get the rest of the folks. Ian McShane was the person that I had in mind, someone I'd always wanted to work with.
Well, that's funny because French and Saunders, I'm a big fan, but I thought their voices should have been reversed because they don't match themselves physically in the film. Because Don, I looked up that, I thought that was something you did maybe intentionally, that you had their voices match their physicality in the film, unlike what they are in real life.
It's a funny thing, but when I went to England to record them a couple of years ago, the parts were switched the first day, and because the physicality and the characters seemed to be in tune, but at the end of the day, the work was only good. It wasn't great, and I didn't know what was the matter, and I asked them to, let's try switching parts. So it was one of those just spur of the moment, let's try it this way, and everyone felt better. It sort of clicked, and then the next day we re-recorded. Don French is a forcible person, and it did end up fitting pretty nicely when we switched.
Excellent job.